Good afternoon, everyone. I will call this called meeting of East Ridge City Council, August 19, 2019, 1 p.m. to order. If everyone will rise, remove your cap, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Helton. Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Here.
Councilmember Witt. Here. City Manager Dorsey.
Here.
City Attorney Litchford.
Here. With any council meeting, we always have communications as a citizen. So if we have anyone in the audience that would like to come forward, any citizen or business would like to come forward and address the council with any questions or concerns, now is your time. We'll have 5 minutes. I see no one. I will move on to item 5, Resolution 2974.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee to approve the purchase of 2 sanitation vehicles totaling $550,000 utilizing the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement.
Yes, sir. Mr. Custer.
Mayor and Council, first of all, let me just thank you all for taking the time out of your day for this special call meeting. I know it's an inconvenience, but before we get into the trucks that we're going to discuss, I think it's important to share with you kind of our status in sanitation as of today. Right now, we're down to 1 sidearm truck and 1 rear load. But unfortunately, that rear load only has 1 rear flipper working, so actually we're down to a truck and a half as it relates to sanitation pickup. Generally, our rear loads are used for, as you know, small brush, and then we also use them for sanitation also. So that kind of goes back to us being behind on some brush and trying to get caught back up. So again, we're down to a truck and a half. In my previous memo that we discussed a few weeks ago at the council meeting, that we'd been looking at the purchase of a new truck. And along the same time we were looking at the purchase of a new truck, we also had the one that unfortunately caught on fire a few months back, which put us really down 2 trucks. We had the motor issue, we had the one that caught fire. We've had the one with the wiring issue that continues to plague us as it relates to being repaired. They're having to chase down. That's actually a truck that is you can operate that from either side. So it actually has 2 sets of everything. So that's where it's coming in to play. They're having to try to go in and diagnose each set of wiring. Each wiring harness they put on, even though it's coming from the manufacturer, it's still not solving the issue. So we looked at a few different possibilities, especially one for immediate purchase. Hall has a program, it's called the Ready Truck Program, and that's what we've been looking at. Hall is the actual packer body that we're looking at. We're running some Halls now. They build these and chassis these about $250 a month is what they sell nationwide. So they've got the combination pretty much down to a fine art as it relates to needs, weight, distribution. So chassis in the right truck for the right body. So that's our recommendation, is going with a 2020 Mack and a 2019 Peterbilt. Hall and Stringfellow agreed to discount $10,000 for the purchase of both units, making the total around $550,000. We budgeted $200,000. We'll be receiving a check from our insurance provider for the damage that was caused to the one truck during fire, of amount $164,000, which would leave us $186,000 that we would need to get from the Sanitation Special Revenue Fund to complete the purchase of both units. So our recommendation is to move forward with the purchase of the 2020 Mack and the 2019 Peterbilt. The 2020 Mack we can have by the end of, they're on the end of tomorrow or today. The 2019 Peterbilt would be within 60 days.
How?
Yes. It was coming from Hobby, sold by Stringfellow. They just opened a new shop here locally in Chattanooga. They have all the business for Hile in the southeast Tennessee area. I believe they have a 7-bay shop right next door to, right down the road from the Mack dealership. I think they're at the Armory, the old Armory.
What yard body we gonna have on these?
28s.
28s? The information I got from Kyle, that they don't have a 28. On the tandem, they have a 24, 26, 30, and a 32. And that's using a rapid rail body. Or on the Liberty body, same thing, 24, 26, 30, and 32. Now, they do make
This-
a 24-yard body that comes on a single axle. That is the same as for tandem. That comes right out of the computer. So they don't show a 28 yard.
The typical chassis configuration for the 28 yard, which I'm looking at, is a minimum gross weight of 58,000. And that's on the fourth to the last page where it says Durapack Python High Compaction Automated Side Loader Product Spec.
What page?
It should be let's see, the first one.
Where's the packet?
The first page of the HAL. It's in the very end of the packet.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's one I seen on Highway here. These pictures of the truck. I pulled
No.
these off.
Oh, it's in the packet that I printed off that you have in front of you. I printed the actual Durapack Python. It's the very last section of the, yeah.
Yeah, yours on.
28 yard, they've got a 22, 24, 26, 28, 33. Gross vehicle weight is 58,000 minimum.
Not one of them in this package.
Which packet? Internet?
No, this right here, what I was handing. This is what I brought the phone that I got off of the internet.
It should be in what you were getting.
What body is that? Everybody pull a Python because it didn't list a single axle, I'm sorry. Python didn't list a single axle.
So also, these trucks that we're considering, you would have, so any haul work that needed to be done would be done down on 23rd Street, be all local warranty work. With the Mack would also be done within just a couple blocks of the Heil dealership, or the Heil rep, which is Stringfellow. And then with the Peterbilt, chassis-wise will be done there in Ringgold. And again, it'll still have the Durapack Python, which will be worked on, again, at Stringfellow. Heil's headquarters is also located in the CPL building at Hamilton Place if there was an issue that we had to address dealing with corporate.
Council, do we have any other questions?
Yes, sir, I still have a problem with the tandems. Simple reason of our neighborhood streets. They, in my opinion, they will not handle the sliding around in cul-de-sacs, turning at the intersections. We're also going to have the added expense of wear and tear of tires and slide on the asphalt. I just soon as see us go with a 24-yard single axle.
Mr. Cush, didn't you say we had a tandem axle before?
Yes, we did. We bought a used tandem axle sometime after, I want to say back in 2011, and kept it up until the year before last. it was a used tandem axle side load.
And for these two new trucks, what's the primary routes we're talking about putting these on versus we still have, hopefully one of these other trucks will be getting fixed soon. We'll still have the couple single axle trucks as well as the rear loader with the flippers.
Yeah, so ideally we're going to put these on the largest routes. They can stay on the main corridors as needed. We may have to shift trucks to figure out exactly how these are going to be utilized. The benefit of these trucks are they're going to require one dump a day. So this will only, based on if you figure roughly, give or take, 1,000 pounds per yard is roughly what you can put in. These are 28 yarders. So give or take, based on load tickets and stuff like that, they should be able to at least just dump once a day. Right now, each driver is going twice a day. So if we can put these on the larger routes and redistribute some of our smaller equipment, we're always going to need the smaller equipment. But there is a time that we need to upgrade, and I believe the time is now.
So on those routes, we'll be adding 1 hour of productivity per route per day that we're using these trucks.
Yeah, so like right now, we're even, before we had the other rear loader go down, we were actually using rear loads and just trying them out on dead ends, running dead ends. So we're trying some different things just to see how we can increase efficiency. And that's the overall goal. I mean, you all get the Facebook and email complaints and phone calls about, my garbage didn't picked up, my brush is not picked up. We're trying to figure out what's the best method for us to be able to deliver the quality service that our citizens are expecting.
This isn't something we're not just rushing into this. We've been talking with you all the last 2 meetings about the fact we know we've been having garbage truck issues. We've been trying to figure out the best way to get through this, but we just have hit that point where we've got to do something.
Agreed. And you're right, we're not rushing into this, but we did have a called meeting, and it is because we have the 2020 Mac that's available now.
Yes.
That we could, and we're in dire need, and we could get the 2020 immediately if this council approves it. So the reason we called the meeting is to get that determination, instead of waiting on Thursday and possibly that truck be gone, and we're talking possibly 90 days before we could get a single truck. And then we'd have to possibly rent, which, correct me if I'm wrong, it's quite expensive, $500 per day, I'm told.
For a rear load, it's $500 a day. And this is actually the second Mac. When we first started discussing this initially, the ready trucks for the program was gone last week. So Hal actually worked through the weekend to make sure that the truck was available in case this body wanted to move forward. So
I have one or two questions, but I'm going to defer to the council first if they have any other questions.
Yeah, I just, Councilman Cagle's concerns were the wear and tear on the tires and the asphalt. But you feel like keeping the appropriate truck with the appropriate axle on the appropriate route will alleviate those wear and tear issues that he's concerned about?
yeah, so anytime you put heavier equipment on the road, you're subject to have some issues. Like, and I'll just give you an example. I live in a cul-de-sac. It's 33 yarder that comes in my cul-de-sac. There's 3 different 33 yard trucks that come by every single week. But there's no more wear and tear there than it is out here. So the idea of cul-de-sacs, dead ends, we may have to evaluate how we want to pick those up to save our streets long term, but that's something that we can do internally. It's just working on logistics.
And the goal is to get those other two up and operational.
And once we have a full staff, we really need to do a route evaluation to make sure that our routes are actually being ran efficiently. Not that the staff's not running it efficiently, but things have changed. Subdivisions are being added and constantly added. So there may need to be some shift. Like if they were starting middle of, let's just say Monday, instead of starting at Harris Hills, maybe they started, at, let's say, Spring Creek. All right? Not to change people's days up, but putting the right truck on the route for the heaviest load. Because right now, like I say, we're spending about 4 hours, between 2 and 4 hours a day at the dump. I mean, if you count it across of lost productivity. To whereas before, when the transfer station was here, all they had to do was run down the transfer station dump, and they took off, so you didn't really notice that big of a gap.
That's something that I'd like to talk about at a later date, is the transfer station. But that's a different day. Any other questions?
You said the larger routes. Isn't that the neighborhood routes?
Yeah, so ideally though, what we want to if we can try to focus down on, McBride Road, Spring Creek Road, the main roads. If we have to get into the neighborhoods, getting into the neighborhoods is one thing, but trying to avoid the cul-de-sacs and the dead ends. We've already avoided the dead ends with by trying to move towards the rear loaders. So I still believe that there's some areas that we can work to make it more efficient.
People that I talk to, Chattanooga, I'm not gonna mention no names down there, but they tell me with the larger trucks over North Chattanooga, they have trouble with having to back up twice, 3 times in the cul-de-sacs, backing over mailboxes, hitting cars. Of course, here, we had that problem up here in Harris Hills, where we've got 1 or 2 up there that we've had to make sure cars are not on the side of the road, even for our single axles to get down. Keep them from having to back up, turn around so much. So, that's the reason why I'm just stuck on single axle. I mean, I'm not beyond buying the new garbage trucks, I know we need them. Sooner the better. But I'd like to see us go to the biggest garbage truck that we can get on a single axle so that we can use them everywhere.
Well, and like I say, not that these won't be used.
Just for the, if we need a truck in the cul-de-sac, we can send that single axle. If we need a truck in the cul-de-sac, we can't send that tandem without having to back in, back up, with the added responsibility of mailboxes and cars, so.
Well, and like I say, these are cambered a lot different, and there's nothing that says that these will stay off cul-de-sacs or dead ends, because these trucks are going to be utilized wherever they need to be utilized. Ideally, we will try to place them where they need to be placed. But the end result is to create efficiency.
They're also right-hand side.
Right-hand drive.
Yeah, they're also
that
all
helps.
right-hand drive.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out.
Trucks nowadays have the camera for the drive left side, get the camera for the right side, so it's
And then,
basically.
yeah, and this will have the camera for the right side along with the driver on the right side.
I believe if we buy 3 of these single axles for the price of 2 of the tandem axles, so probably the same amount of money.
So I can tell you the original single axle was, which we would have to relook at those specs based on the specs that were sent out before, which I would not use. You were over 200, you were 205, 210, 215 for the single axle. And that's with the specs that were provided, which we would have to respect that.
So then it would go up from there.
Plus you have to have another driver.
Plus you have to have
hire
another
the
driver.
Continual expense of that all the time. Plus you'd be making more trips to the landfill still.
Right. And
Right,
that
there
is
might be a
reduce the number
trade-off,
of
and I
trips
don't know
that-
what that trade-off is, like we
Right.
were talking about, with the roads versus the
Added staff and added
staffing
insurance.
versus the more efficiency of the time. Like you said, Chattanooga uses all 33s on their North Shore, correct? So realize
It's
there's
just all they're
that's
buying.
why, like I said, we got away from the 33 and we went down to the 28. And it just happens that they have one of those available because if we don't need a 33, and it's not going to matter on the size of route we're doing, then that's one smaller size truck we're able to get.
So currently we have, on the list that I have, we have a total of 5 single axle automated one-horse bandits. 1 is totally out because of fire. So there's 4. The 3 of those are actually being worked on. So those should be coming back online at some point in time.
Yes.
So we'll still have 3. No,
We're getting
4.
ready to.
We'll have 4, correct. Single axles. So these 2 would just be in addition to those.
Though I can tell you this, the one with the end shop with the fuel feed issues, it may or may not come back.
Okay.
The original plan was whenever we bought a new one was to surplus 1 out as we bought
Okay,
anyway.
so-
Just make sure you had a couple back.
So then we should have 3 then for sure. Single axle. Okay. Any other questions? One thing that I wanted to mention or bring up or confirm is we're looking at 550 with the current recommendation from the city, city staff. But we budgeted for 200 this year. We did get an insurance of $164,000 for the one that caught on fire.
Yes,
correct?
we actually, it was deposited
will be deposited into the bank today. It was for $164,597.
Okay, so
Very
we're,
happy with that, man.
Yes,
oh, I am
very
too.
happy.
I am
Very.
too. So we're looking at somewhere approximately 186 to cover this.
Yes, sir, and right now unaudited, the fund balance, because they'll be here next week to
You was
begin
gonna
our
ask.
audit. Yes, right now, the unaudited fund balance in the sanitation fund is $681,000. They've been, it funds itself, and we didn't have to buy one last year, so we were able to, increase our fund balance. So it'll take about $186,000 from the fund balance. And if y'all vote on this, then at the September meeting, I'll have the budget amendment to reflect that.
And then moving forward on our vehicle replacement program, we'll be very mindful of the specifications that are put in place for each truck that's purchased.
So my quick math is we're still gonna have about 495, almost $500,000 in that
Right.
fund.
Mhm.
Still, okay. Is there any other questions, council? If not, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 2974.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2974.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Chauncey and a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any other discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
I'm against the tandems, but I'm gonna go ahead and vote yes because of the need, the emergency need of the vehicles that we do need, so, yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt. Yes. Mayor Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all that I have on this, but I will open up. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Councilman Cagle, before we close? Anything? Chauncey, Councilman Chauncey, Councilman? That is it. So I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.